Welcome back to the channel. This is The Casuals. I'm Jin.
And I'm Saki.
And today's episode is, well, what's it called? Impractical Questions? I think that's what it was. Impractical Questions, right?
Yeah.
It has been a while. It certainly has been a while. I think way longer than it could have been. But we're back at it again where where you have silly questions and I have silly answers or very real or very serious answers depending on the situation. Um, but yeah, this should be, just a normal episode, nothing too special going on. So I guess we get straight into it, right? I think we're on question 71 now.
Yeah. These are mainly gonna be silly answers, I'll tell you that. I'm reading them right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll start off with why does Hawaii have interstate highways?
Because, wait, why?
Yeah.
They're an island.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess because they are technically, they are a state. So I guess it's not technically wrong at the same time, but it feels weird at the same time.
Yeah, no, when I first thought of that, I'm like, interstate. I'm like, yeah, that'll be confusing.
But I mean, yeah, technically they're not wrong. So, oh well, I guess the shrug little thing.
Yep. Shrug just I mean, weird, but not wrong.
Yeah, and then like you just take a second to think about it. You're like, yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So why does Hawaii have interstate highways?
Because
Curious.
when the United States conquered Hawaii, they were like, you must name your the interstate highways. We shall have no others. There is no inner island highways.
I guess.
Yeah, they're just like you're not allowed.
Yeah, I like this next question. I kind of want to skip that one because this one will be fun to talk about.
Hmm.
Why do people who know the least know it the loudest?
Because they don't know enough to realize that they should keep their mouth shut.
No, that's just talking though, but why do they have to like yell it? And
Oh,
why do they know it the loudest?
because wait, repeat that again, just so I don't
Okay,
mix it
so
up.
the question is, why do people who know the least know it the loudest?
Know it the least, know it the loudest. Does that mean they're shouting it out really loudly, essentially, right?
Yeah, like if you're trying to like do a debate with them, not even like
Okay, I
arguing, they
see, I
just
see.
like scream over you like you're completely wrong, even though like they're completely wrong.
Dude, it's a survival instinct thing, man. You know how stave away bears. You're supposed to make yourself
Hmm.
look really big and you yell and everything. It's the same thing. They're like, oh god, they're smarter than me, or they have that instinct that they don't even know it's like that subconscious where they're like, oh god, like I'm gonna be look dumb, yell really loudly, intimidate them.
So these people, then Karens would fall under this, the quote unquote Karens of
Mm-hmm.
the world, right?
Yeah.
I'd consider them under that, because yeah, like they just make crap up, and then you're like, oh, well, that's not really, that's not a thing, and then they just start yelling.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah, that makes sense.
I joke about that kind of thing, but I think it's somewhat true, at least in my opinion, right? It's kind of like that triggering of like they want to protect their own self conscious, like because if they do get proven wrong in everything that they believe in, whether it's like they believe that they had the right to do this or this information is factual, and it's being disproven from them right before their very eyes, it's gonna whether or not it's even like mundane or big truth, like one of the biggest truths revealed to them or something like that, it's still gonna quote unquote shatter their perception of what they view as the world, and they don't want to do that. People like staying comfortable in their own hubris.
True.
So
True.
I would assume that yelling, like being really loud, kind of just prevents that information from even reaching. It's kind of like that instinct that triggers, like, no, I don't want to listen to this. you know, I'm gonna just yell as loud as I can so I can drown out the opposition in order to prevent, my own self view, my own hubris from being, like violated or, destroyed or changed.
What's weird is they could also just be like, no, I don't feel like talking about that, and literally walk away. But they do it on purpose.
Yeah, and I think that also comes from the fact that, like, because it's their, view, right? It's their perception and everything. They kind of like think that other people must have the same view as them, and everything else is wrong if they don't. So they instead of walking away and just keeping it to themselves, they're like, no, you must see what I see, and I am right, unlike you. And so they kind of always get into that confrontational, you know, things that you hear about of them yelling, I like, you know what I mean?
Yep, I do. I mean, how do I say this? You can't fix stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they just have to be loud and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that must be horrible.
I
You're
mean,
just loud and dumb. Wow.
I think I'm dumb and quiet. I keep to myself because I know I'm dumb.
Well, not even that. You just don't just start shouting because someone says something different than you.
Yeah, dude, I am non-confrontational about almost anything. I do not like confronting things. You know me. I'm always too
Like,
afraid to even inconvenience, like what, like even like ask a waiter if my order's wrong. Be like, something's wrong.
not even that. Like, let's just say, do you like apples or oranges? And they'll go, I like oranges. And then the guy will go, oh, I think I like apples more. And then they just start yelling.
Oh yeah, those people are
It's
weird.
like, dude, it's just an opinion of what fruit you like, not like a war on this fruit's better.
Yeah, I think too many people hold
They
their
just do
opinions
that.
as truth.
Yeah.
So yeah, that becomes an issue. Yeah. The humans, people, weird. Yeah, too
Um,
strange. Yeah.
quite all right. I guess we can move on. So, third question. If con is the opposite of pro, then is Congress the opposite of progress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen what our Congress has been doing lately?
Yeah, I thought, yeah, I just
you
had to
you
ask.
just take one good look and you're just like, it seems to be going backwards. So yes,
Exactly.
Congress is the opposite of progress.
Agreed. And we leave it at that.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot about this one. Uh, do burn victims get discounts at crematoriums?
Uh, no. I would like to say yes in terms of the funny, but I think in reality, no. Um, because I'm sure they don't charge you by how much of you is left if your skin has been singed off or, not to make fun of burn victims or anything. It is a very, serious thing and it's like horrible to experience, right?
I think that's like the most painful way to die is being burned.
Yeah, I think one of the most painful ways, yeah, I would say.
I think they
Um,
said it's more painful than like drowning or falling.
yeah,
Because at
because
least falling's instant most of the time.
oh well, yeah, assuming that you do hit your head, like you're instantly out. But there has been times where strange tangent. The Golden Gate Bridge is infamous for suicide jumpers, right?
Yeah.
And there was a survivor. There's a lot of accounts where people who survived, the jump are like, it's one of the most painful things if you break like every bone in your body because the impact on the water is like hitting the cement, right? And two people can survive. Um, and so I imagine breaking every bone in your body and dislocating everything, yada yada, is very painful. But I think burning to death is an entirely different thing because your nerves are literally dying off in a painful way, and not to mention you're being starved of oxygen at that point.
Yeah.
Um, so I think yeah, it's one of the most painful things. But back to the crematorium thing, I would assume they don't charge you by weight or anything like that. Because to be honest, now that I think about it, that'd be kind of weird. I think they just charge you for a person. You know, whether they be a full body, half body, one arm missing, one leg missing. You know,
Yeah.
I would assume so. But would it be kind of morbidly hilarious if they gave a discount to, burn victims? Yes. I think if, burn victims who have come to terms with the fact, their scars or like their, the fact that they are a burn victim and they're able to lay rest into that, like, come to peace with that. I think they would laugh if they were offered a discount for it.
I could see that, yeah.
But
Once
that's
you come to terms with it, yeah.
yeah. I think that's you have to come to terms. You should never no crematorium. Please, no crematorium ever do that. Don't ever like if you're a crematorium, if you work at a crematorium and you listen to this podcast or like this video, and you hear this, do not get the idea of offering a discount on a burn victim. Because you never know if they're comes to term or not, unless they're obviously constantly joking with their own. But even then, they might not have come to terms that maybe joking constantly about their situation is a way of like a coping mechanism. So
Yeah.
to be safe, don't ever do that unless I guess a friend that you can be assured that they are very good friends with that person and they know and they can assure you that this joke would be if it goes wrong for some reason they would take responsibility and then they sign multiple paperwork or something like that guaranteeing that then go ahead and make that joke as someone else giving permission that seems reasonable, but don't do it on your own. That's one of the worst ways to dude, someone will post it on like if that happens they will post that shit on like Twitter or like
Everything.
Facebook, Instagram, news outlets, and you will get cooked for it.
Yeah. It'll go everywhere on the internet.
You won't be able to walk down the street anymore.
Yeah, yeah, just don't do it. I had to think for a second, like, nah. In no possible way is it good.
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess the fifth question.
Mm-hmm.
So if ghosts can walk through walls, why don't they fall through floors?
Walk through walls, huh? So I guess we're specifically talking about the ones that have feet and are on the ground.
Yeah.
That is kind of a good question to point out because, like, if a ghost was floating, like, like the traditional Halloween boost ghost, whatever,
Yeah.
it makes sense for them not to fall through the floor because they're floating. But in the imagery of ghosts who have feet and, or some sort of bipedal or I think it's quadrupedal, I think that's what it's called, or some sort of leg to touch the ground and motorize it and, like, move across. Yeah, why don't they just sink through the thing? I would assume they... Well, I guess it's more like because they're ghosts, they aren't necessarily touching through the floor, but then they have that ability to project themselves wherever they want to.
True, but in like those like horror movies where like the house is haunted or like something like that, and then they kind of like show the ghost and it's like a full person with all their appendages and stuff.
Yeah.
And that they could like go through walls to get like cut you off really quickly, but they don't do that for floors.
Yeah, that's strange. I wonder if what's it called? I wonder if they, it'd be funny if they just like go under the floor and pop out on the other side. They're like, yo. That's how they catch you. They don't go through the walls or anything. Like you run into a room, they don't go through the walls. They go under the floor, go underneath, and then pop up the other side up through the floor.
Yeah, but you don't really see that.
Yeah, that's kind of strange now that I think about it. I guess it's just imagery, right? At that point, like, because they're so ingrained with what the idea of a ghost is, whether it's modeled after a human, other spectral, like whatever ghost sheets. So yeah, that is strange. I can't even think of an answer why they don't go through the floor because that's just no one really even asks that.
Yeah, now I think about it, yeah, most of the time it's just like, oh yeah, they can go through walls, but they don't phase through the floors. Like, that's weird. Maybe they should start doing that.
Yeah, maybe it would
That'd be
make some
interesting.
interesting things. Yeah, situations.
Alright, I guess our next question. What happens if you get scared half to death twice?
You shave off. So I don't. I had an answer. I just don't know how to word it. So you shave off. Let's say you have 100 years, right?
Uh-huh.
You get scared half to death. That's 50 years left, right? But you get scared half to death again. That's 25 years. So it compounds. Or what? Not compounds, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's just half of that half. So it's not 100%. You just lost 1/4 of your life instead. It's
So,
exponential. I think that's what it is.
yeah, can you imagine you just keep getting scared half to death, and if it works off of that way, would you ever die then?
Yeah, definitely. So let's just say let's just say for some reason you are, let's just say zero. You're 1 years old, right? And you're destined to die at 100. But you get scared half to death. That's 25. You get scared half to death again. That's 12.5. You get scared half to death again. That's what, 6.25, and you get scared half to death again, 3.25. Actually, no. No. But this is assuming that this happens all in one day. Then it would take so long for you to reach that minuscule minutes, right? Of doing half,
Uh-huh.
half, 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 half. That it may as well feel forever.
Right. But
But, uh huh.
I was gonna say, would it eventually happen? But
Yes, I would say
I think
yes.
eventually, yeah, at some point it would have. Yeah, at some point it definitely have to happen.
But if it was assumed that you're getting scat half to death, like every, like, let's just say quarter second or something, that shit's gonna take forever for you to die.
True.
But and it would be accelerated even more so if you were to be scared half to death at different points of your life. So you live like 3 years, you get scared half to death. That's you have 50 years left, and then you go on another 6 years. That's 25 years left. Yada yada yada. But then you're moving up too, closer to that deadline.
Okay. Yeah, I could see where you're coming from now. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like the fool's question, right? If you ask if you lose half of this and then lose half of that, how much left do you have? And a lot of people, I don't think it's actually a full. I think it's just kind of like a trick, not a trick question, but kind of like gotcha moment where it's like, oh, you lose all of it. It's like, no, well, you lose half of that half, which means you have a quarter left.
Right.
So yeah, I think the same thing applies here. If you get scared half to death and then you get scared half to death immediately after, you lose a quarter. You lose 75% of your life.
Yep. Okay, that makes more sense than what I initially thought of. I just thought half 50, and then you did it again, the other 50.
Goodbye.
Yeah, you're just gone. Okay. But yeah, that would make more sense. Because half of 50 is 25, and then, it
Yeah.
just keeps. Yeah. Huh. Alright, cool. You learned something new from stuff that you thought of. Alright, next one. Where do forest rangers go to, quote unquote, get away from it all?
To
Do
the
they go to
club, baby.
the city?
To the strip club, baby. You're all surrounded by trees and everything, and maybe your dog, and now you go and you're like, I gotta get away from this, this forest. I get away from it all. You go to the strip club, and then there's woman, booze, lights
Right.
everywhere, industrial.
And they go to the inner city.
Yeah, essentially, they just do the opposite of what other people from the inner city do.
Yeah, because people from the city like to go, to forests or in nature, it's quiet. They could think and just relax, but they're kind of always, well, maybe not always like that, but like they're more, they get that more than we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you think they just go and I guess maybe stress themselves out?
No, I don't
And then
know. I'd imagine being a forest ranger. It can be stressful at times, depending on where you are. Like I
uh-huh,
know in Sacramento, where the sequoias are, the great big red trees.
uh-huh,
It's stressful because there are legitimate, I guess, quote unquote, poachers or hunters for the tree branches for redwood, because redwood is a prized wood
Yeah.
amongst people who like certain furniture, or wood collection, and they have to deal with all these drug addicts coming through trying to steal wood. And who knows what could they be? They could be weapons if they want. It could be, who knows? Maybe there's a literal wood cartel that we don't know of.
True. Although that'd be kind of weird to have a whole wood cart just for wood.
Yeah, but I can see it existing because we've seen ridiculous stuff being formed for groups forming for ridiculous stuff before that you would never think of, and yet, sometimes they do have powerful, positions, so you may never know.
All right, so I guess the answer is they go to the inner city and get stressed.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Oh, I think I actually know the real answer to this.
Oh, okay.
So, if the number 2 pencil is the most popular, why is it still number 2?
Isn't it because of it's the stylized what's it called, classification?
I think it had to do with like, is it graphite? The graphite's in it in the pencil.
Yeah, didn't they use a different version of that?
They used something, and it was, I forget like the
Lead.
technicalities of it.
They use lead, straight up lead, like literal lead, and they're like, can't be using that. Now we gotta use graphite, and so we gotta call it the number 2 pencil because it's not necessarily the regular pencil.
No, I don't think it because it was the second pencil created. It was like the type of like graphite is like number 2 or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. But yeah, I never really questioned why it was called number 2. I just accepted it for it was and just ran with it.
Yeah, because they're always like, what are those scantrons? They're like, use a number 2 pencil or whatever.
Yeah, that is strange. But yeah, I think you are correct. I think it's the type of graphite, and they label it as number 2 graphite, but then they call it number 2 pencil instead.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. I mean, some of the things in the world that you just don't question at this point, you just leave it as it is. Because the more you try unraveling, you're just like, why? And then you're like, you know what? The world functions fine as it is.
Yeah.
No need to try and change, go against the norm. I remember there was this freaking book. Okay, I just suddenly remember this. It was about it's like an elementary school kid book, right? It's about a dude. I swear to God, this was a real book. It was about a dude who did not like the word pen. And he was like, I'm not going to call it pen anymore. I'm going to call it this. And literally, the whole thing about that book is literally him calling it that. And then, like, he gets teacher angry or whatever. It's like, no, you're supposed to call it pen. And he's like, no, I want to call it this. And he literally convinces the entire, like, town to no longer call it pen, but whatever he named it. Do you know that book?
Honestly, I don't. I'm not too sure what you're talking about, to be honest.
Let me see if I can find it. Frindle. It's called Frindle.
Yeah, nope. Still not ringing a bell.
Gotcha. I think you have to read Frindle. It's such a weird book because the guy was like, I don't want to call it a pen. I want to call it a Frindle. And so I know it was the entire country that uses the word eventually. It was so weird.
Frindle?
Frindle. Frindle.
That's okay. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I don't. It was just whatever. But I just suddenly got reminded of that when you brought up, when just suddenly remember that during our conversation of number 2 pencil. That's such a weird memory that I remember reading that book like 3 times when I was a kid.
I've never even heard of that.
Maybe I gotta show you soon.
All right, interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we have one more question or 2 more.
2.
Gotcha.
Second to last one, number 79. Do people call part-time band leaders semiconductors?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they aren't necessarily wrong in a technical sense, but also just like I guess it'd be funny, right? Part-time conductor, just call me a semiconductor.
Yep.
What's a full-time conductor? A whole conductor?
Yeah, just a conductor.
Yeah, just a conductor and then semiconductor. Oh my god, that'd be so funny. It's like, are you an electrician? Yeah, I'm a semiconductor.
Can you imagine? You put that on like your resume. You're a semiconductor.
You're like, what do you mean by this? It's like, I'm literally a semiconductor. What else do you want? And they look up again from the resume and you're just literally a semiconductor. The actual electronic part.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah.
All right, last one for this episode. This one I vibe with. I do this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people constantly return to the fridge with hopes that something new to eat will have materialized?
Freudenschwarz, whatever psychology name, Freudenschwarz effect. I don't. I remember it's Strein's Heinz effect, whatever. Like the more you try hiding it, the more it becomes known, or something like that. Streisand effect.
I can't think of it off the top of my
But
head.
you know what I mean, like those Germanish sounding names with like describing a phenomenon or something. I just was like, what if it's that? But yeah, it's so freaking weird that people do that. I don't do it myself personally. Do you?
If I'm hungry and I don't want to cook anything, I'll go to the fridge. I'll be like, nah, I don't really see anything. So I close the fridge. Maybe like 10 minutes later, I'm like, I'm still hungry. So I'll go back to the fridge. I'm like, oh yeah, there's nothing in here. So I close it. And then like another 15 minutes later, I'm like, I'm hungry. So I go back. I'm like, why do I keep coming back? I know there's nothing there.
God, I think it's kind of hard to explain because I think like the way it triggers for everyone is different, right? I don't think it's just one like clear identifiable cause. Because I remember when I used to do that actually. I don't do it
I'm sure,
anymore.
actually, one more thing. I'm sure some people do it out because they're like bored.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. That's I think
you
one of the
eat when
main.
you're bored, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the main causes. If you're bored, you literally just do that because you kind of like want to do something. You don't know what you want to do. You're gonna do something that you don't mind doing, which is looking like opening the fridge and looking for food. But it's not necessarily that you're looking for food. You're just doing it because your body kind of like subconsciously tells you, "Hey, do something."
Yeah, and your body says go do something, and then your mind's like food.
Yeah. Um.
Not
So
like go play a game or exercise. No, food.
yeah, because I guess humans are driven by three main things: one, to live; two, to eat; three, to sleep.
Yeah,
So I
that
guess
sounds
it's
pretty
one of the
accurate.
yeah. I think that's one of the three main. It's one of the three main things. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's why our brains are wired to literally go to the refrigerator every time we're bored or like have nothing else to do, or we just have an inexplicable sensation of let me go to the refrigerator.
Just weird, because when I read it before I read it to you, I'm like, oh my god, I do that.
I haven't done that in recent memory. I think it's been a couple of years since I actually last did that. I think it's because I just don't wire myself to going for food anymore. I think I just kind of sit and stay at the computer.
Gotcha.
So yeah, yeah. I don't think anyone will ever. I don't think science will ever be able to explain that phenomenon. I think it's just one of those unanswered, ubiquitous things in the world.
I think so. I think it's just gonna be a thing forever. So
When aliens observe us, they'll be like, "Man, these humans are weird."
yeah, they keep going to the fridge.
Don't even take out anything. Just look at it, close it, go back.
Yep. Hoping something will have appeared.
Yeah, it's a really strange thing. Um, so yeah, that was 10 questions. That one went a little bit differently than expected, especially with the burn thing, burn victim, crematory burn victim, and the explanation, psychological explanations for various questions. But overall, still fun questions. I like the semiconductor. That's pretty freaking funny. One of my more favorite ones for this. But yeah, this has been Impractical Questions. I hope you enjoy. Maybe we'll record some more shortly in the future. Who knows? Um, and that's about it, I think, right?
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna end it here. So I'm Jen,
And I'm Saki.
and this is the Casuals, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.